on Natural State Sports, your top source for the biggest news in high school sports across Arkansas.
Hey, here we go, here we go!
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us on episode 12 of Arkansas Preps Weekly. My name's Kyle Sutherland, alongside the baseball guru, Mr. Kevin Bohannon. We are in the final week of, you notice I said it like Randy Rainwater, Kevin. I think that's why you probably smiled at me. But we are in the final week of the 2024 baseball, softball, soccer season. And I say all three of those sports because we are going to celebrate with the final week of the season, celebrate or mourn, whichever you choose, in Conway at the Weekend of Champions. As I mentioned, we'll have all three sports, and of course, softball and baseball will be on PBS. But Kevin, once again, it just goes by way too quick. Yesterday, I swear I was writing previews for the 23 football season, and we're pretty much going to be doing that in about a month from now, as we wrap up the 2024 baseball and softball season this week. It's just crazy how quick it all goes.
Yeah, it's a 2-month sprint, basically, because teams get started 1st of March. State tournament's the first weekend of May now. So, yeah, it was really quick. And just like football playoffs last 4 weeks, so football season's 4 months long. We pack all of that into 2 months with teams playing, Springdale Harbor, 34 games, Woodlawn 35 games, getting through 4A through 1A, getting through the postseason is stressful on these teams. They got to go through a district tournament, then a regional tournament. Then they got to win 3 games in 3 days in most classifications to qualify to get to UCA to the Weekend of Champions. So Weekend of Champions started in 1999, my senior year. So 25th anniversary minus the COVID year, of course, in 2020. So a lot to look forward to this weekend. I'm excited. I'll be on the call for the 1A, 2A, and 6A games. And I know you'll be on call for the 4A game, if I'm not mistaken, for softball. So we're really looking forward to that. A lot of good stuff. And already talked to coaches this morning, this weekend. There's a lot of excitement. Should be some great ball games in baseball this weekend.
Yeah, I think I've talked to 3 coaches as we record on this Monday morning, and then I've got about 5 or 6 scheduled this afternoon. So we are getting right on those, and we will have the preview out, of course. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure and hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Also, you can subscribe on the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. And before we do get started, I want to tell you about our friends at Athletic Field Service of Arkansas. A properly graded infield is not only important for player safety, but also the field's health. No company in the state can match the exceptional service and dedication like our friends at Athletic Field Service of Arkansas. From infield renovation, lip removal and edging, mound rehab, laser leveling, and much more, Jeremy Rice and his crew have you covered. Call Jeremy at 501-416-1218. That's 501-416-1218 for your free evaluation and consultation. And you can also check them out on Facebook or see what they have to offer by searching Athletic Field Service of Arkansas online. Athletic Field Service of Arkansas, we got the dirt on your infield. Starting off in Class 6A. Kevin, I think last week you had mentioned Cabot was a team that had kind of gone backwards some, but has a chance to maybe make a run, and they did that. They got hot, and they beat West. They beat Heritage, I know, 23-0 that they started off. So overall a great year, and then lost in the quarterfinals, and then lost to Harbor, did Cabot 8-4, which coincidentally softball was also knocked out by Harbor, was Cabot. So Harbor going back, hoping to win back-to-back, and then Rogers, it's going to be an all-West finals, and so they're hoping to win their second in a row is Harbor, and then Rogers is hoping to win its first since 2021.
Yep, so third overall title for Springdale Harbor. Rogers is looking to go 2 and 4 years. Of course, Harbor looking to go back-to-back, like you said. And, I went back and looked to see, okay, how many teams made it to the semifinals that we had ranked in our preseason top 4, okay? And there were 13 out of 24, so that's pretty good. And then 5 out of 10 made it to the finals. So Good ratio there. Springdale Harbor, of course, they were preseason number one. Rogers was, I think, third or fourth, I think. Yeah, had Bentonville and Cabot right there. So, Cabot played well. Just they ran out of gas, and not having Velasquez over the last month is why they, lost a few games and ended up with that 3 seed. So, kudos. Springdale Harbor had Ross Felder available on Saturday. He's 9-1 now in the year, 1.18 ERA, 75 strikeouts. Luke Cornelison, the Razorback commit, 8-1 on the season, 87 strikeouts, 1.44 ERA. So, Springdale Harbor is hitting 299 as a team. That's pretty good for 6A baseball in Arkansas. But their pitching is what got them there. They beat Jonesboro, beat Conway 6-1. That was a huge win. I mean, had them shut out for the longest. Conway ended up scratching a run across. So, Rogers got there, had the bye, beat Catholic 4-3. That was a really good baseball game. Catholic beat Bentonville in the first round. So the Rockets did not get no hit this year. They just ran out of gas against the Mounties in round 2. So the 8-1 win over Bryant kind of surprised me a little bit. But Jake Taylor, the super sophomore, was absolutely tremendous on the mound for the Mounties. 6 innings and gave up 3 hits. He's from Bryant. Moved to Rogers when he was in 8th grade, so he knows a lot of those guys. So the matchup that we wanted, Rogers and Springdale Harbor for all the marbles. These two teams split during the regular season. That was Rogers' only conference loss this season.
And you mentioned Bryant a second ago there and talked about just the progress throughout this season that they made under Garrett Bach in the first year. Made it to the semifinals. There are probably plenty that didn't think that they could get that far. What do you think is in store? I know he's losing, about 5-6 seniors or something like that. But as far as just with his first year that he did, obviously getting to the Final Four, what do you think is in front of the Hornets moving forward?
Championships. That's simple enough right there. So they got Rich Sutherland coming back. The way Garrett's going to build this program is a lot like his dad did, and a lot like the first Coach Bach built it at Pine Bluff. So Garrett's won everywhere he's been, whether it be Greenbrier, Hot Springs, Lakeside, now at Bryant. So I think they're just got the sky's the limit for those guys over the next years. They tied for the 6A Central title this year with Conway. Conway's going to be good next year. Don't sleep on the Wampus Cats. I know they've lost in their first game the last 2 years after receiving that bye. So they've got a bright future. Max Holland is one to remember. And then Sean Cover, also those 2 sophomores in 2026 class. The Wampus Cats will be back. And then Jonesboro will be better next year. They only had, I think, 1 or 2 seniors that contributed playing time this year. So the Central should be even better next year. There was a little bit more parity this season, like we thought it would be. It wasn't just dominated by the West, even though that's the state title game, is both teams from the West. But each conference went 2-2 on the first day last Thursday. So looking forward to 6A. Great game this weekend. Rogers 27-3, Harbor 29-5. Should be a great matchup.
Then down in Class 5A, as you predicted, on the bottom half of the bracket, it was Valley View, free-for-all pretty much. This did Valley View Invitational. I guess it's probably more a
that's what I called it.
That's exactly what I don't know why I said free-for-all. What am I calling it? But Valley View just tore through. What is that? What's this math here? 33-3 is what they outscored their opponents. So they will take on the Maumelle Hornets, who ended the great run by the Lake Hamilton Wolves. What a year that they had. I think you had mentioned many times that really you look across all classifications and the Wolves are the ones you got to point at as probably the best turnaround story. And there on the cusp of the state finals, but Maumelle will actually be going instead, that's their first ever championship appearance.
We talked about Maumelle at the beginning of the season. Like, look, this is a team that has the pitching to win it. Was their offense going to show up? And it showed up this past weekend, Kyle. I mean, it showed up in droves. Alan Timmons hit a home run. That the last guy, their second baseman shortstop, that was the last guy you would think would hit a home run, but he did. They beat Marion 7-2. beat Greenbrier 8-6, and then beat Lake Hamilton 8-3. The offense just came alive. Now, they did all of this without Tag Andrews, the Razorback signee for the 2024 class. He was going through concussion protocol. He should be cleared this week. Hopefully he is. So he can play in the state championship game against Valley View. But Peyton Lee looked really good on the mound. Eubanks. And then Cooley got the start against Lake Hamilton, went 4 innings, and just didn't give up a whole lot. Blaze Ward came in and looked good on the mound in both his appearances this past week. And then Timmons also contributed a little bit on the mound. But, they're 19-11. Those 11 losses are against really good teams, all teams that were in the state tournament in some classification. Now, you go back to February 28th, Kyle. Valley View beat Maumelle 2-1 in Hot Springs in the Southwest Sporting Goods Classic. Tag Andrews started that game. Eli Cresilius threw that game for Valley View, but neither finished the game, obviously, because of pitch counts early in the season, even though Andrews threw 94 pitches in February. But, Maumelle's offense, how they perform against either Lance Davis or Eli Cresilius, that's the two that would start. Both of those combined going into the state tournament, only giving up 4 runs on the season, 145 strikeouts. They both had sub-1 ERAs. And, of course, they were both undefeated on the season. Valley View just rolled, man. Like we said, 3 run rule victories over BB. Second round, who'd they have?
Russellville.
Skipped me. Russellville, yeah. And Russellville's good. They lit up Tristan Newberry. I mean, lit him up like a alarm clock. So they just keep going. And talking to Josh Allison, he was like, keep putting pressure on them. They had runners on base, and could never really get the big hit against Van Buren. He was like, we put so much pressure on teams, the dam's going to break it sometime. And they did, 10-0 against Van Buren. Hudson Hossman's kind of been the lost player in all this. He's got 10 home runs and 45 RBIs on the season. You talk about all the P5 and D1 MLB draft picks. Hossman leads the team in home runs. Dax Webb's right there behind him at 8 or 9 home runs. Owen Roach is hitting over 300 for the season. Slade Caldwell is getting on base at a 7.02 clip. I thought last year was ridiculous when it was in the 500 or 600s. I mean, but getting on base 70% of the time is just absolutely crazy. Over 40 steals again this season. So it should be a great final. I think it'll be close because, like I said, Maumelle does have the pitching to keep that offense tamed. But honestly, this has been the Valley View Invitational, and this has been their march towards redemption the whole season. I think they finish it. But Maumelle could beat them. I mean, that's the thing. It happened last year with Little Rock Christian. Reese Torini, stud pitcher, he was our outlet pitcher of the year last year. So Tag Andrews can beat them. Peyton Lee can beat them if Peyton's on. So it should be a great matchup. Looking forward to seeing that game this weekend.
I think the thing with me in that game is you've already got the pressure of being not just the number 1 team in Arkansas, talking about Valley View, of course, not just being the number 1 team in Arkansas, but having some, I think, regional ranks. Like they've been ranked the top team in the region. They've gotten some national ranks. But on top of that, you've got the pressure of you got walked off the past 2 state finals games. You've been the favorite, I guess, pretty much the past 3 years. Of course, the year before last was in 4A. But that's the biggest question for me is how much pressure is that going to add? But I'm with you. It's really hard for to believe that they do not finish this, especially with the way the last 2 years have gone.
Yeah, and knowing their mindset because, look, they rolled through 3 teams, and they were – 2 good teams out of the West, and BB. BB had played well. They beat Sylvan Hills this year, gave Maumelle trouble. But there's been talk by some people in the media that this is a cocky team that they think they can beat anybody right now. Well, that's true in a sense, but I wouldn't necessarily call it cockiness. They play with the swagger. They play with the edge of confidence that never really goes over into the showboat state, Yeah, will they stare down a home run? Absolutely. I've seen them do it. Caldwell's done it. Caldwell stared down a double. He thought he got all of it at Rogers one day and it ended up being a double, but it wasn't a single. He busted tail when he found out it was going to be down and ended up on second base. those guys go out, take care of business, and the thing is, I don't think Josh Allison will let them be cocky or Matt Snyder. They know that at any point they can be beat. And that's the thing you have to look back to is the last 2 years. Look, we were the favorite going in against Harrison. They beat us in extra innings. Little Rock Christian did the same thing last year. It doesn't matter who's the favorite. It's matter what they do on that day. They've been one pitch at a time all year, and I think that's not going to change on Saturday or Friday.
Then down in Class 4, he had a lot of close first-round matchup, really everything except for the Robinson and Ozark down at the bottom of the bracket. But Robinson did what is that? Is it 2-2, the series between Lone Oak? So they ended up beating Lone Oak, and all of those have been close games, pretty much all but one. I think one was a 2-run game, and then the others were all 1-run. So about what you would think in this series, and that one ends up 2-2 on the season, and Robinson is going to their first ever state championship after beating the defending state champions.
Yeah, and if it wouldn't have rained during the regional tournament, I think Robinson would have beat them that day. On that Saturday, but as you know, it was finished up on Monday. Lone Oak got to come out, recenter themselves, and go out and beat them 6-4. So yeah, that was the 2-run game. They beat Still Eves and got two runs on him quick, then got up 3-0 and got 7 hits on him just like that. And that's something that hasn't happened all year. There was, a couple of people text me that Isaac Delaney is the best baseball coach in the state, and that was from Lone Oak people. Isaac Delaney, of course, being the head coach of the Robinson Senators. Look, they were supposed to be like a year or two away from this, but nobody told those guys. They were supposed to be 1 or 2 years away from really competing for a state title and being there. I've been high on them all year. They've been in my top 5 all year, and they were last year too, but they were really young. Now those guys are back a little bit. Walker, Blackwell, Logan Eichler, Spencer Watson, those are the 4 guys that they can put on the mound and can beat just about anybody. Blackwell did it. Eichler, Spencer Watson looked great against Lone Oak. It just, those guys just came out and won 23-11. Those 11 losses, like Maumelle, are 2 teams, higher classification or teams that were in the state tournament this past week. So they beat Monticello and Ozark by scores of 7-1 and just took care of business. They're hitting the ball right now. That's what I talked to one of their assistant coaches, Austin Allen, who played for me in high school. And he said, man, these boys are playing well. They have the confidence that they can go out and beat anybody. And to beat Lone Oak in the semifinals with their ace on the mound that's going to the University of Arkansas showed them that they can beat anybody. So Prairie Grove, they're going to be scrappy. They're 20-9 on the year. They do have 1 tie. I don't count ties. Just for purposes unbeknownst to everybody else. But it's just, tying in baseball just doesn't make sense to me. But weather, all that good stuff, tournaments, I get it. They beat Cross at 8-3 and then beat conference foe Farmington 4-2. So, Prairie Grove, we talked about them. They won the district tournament or won the regional, the 4A North, beat Morrilton in the final 6-3. So they're the 1 seed in that tournament. They didn't even get to play Magnolia because Magnolia got smoked by Farmington 14-2. But they did take care of Crossett and Farmington. So, yeah, a lot of black and gold will be at USA Baseball Stadium this coming Thursday.
Yeah, Farmington was definitely an impressive one. The 4 seed, they slipped past Brooklyn 1-0. Then, like you said, they thumped Magnolia. And anytime you get to see Prairie Grove and Farmington, it's going to be fun. The Battle of Highway 62. And, man, I'll tell you, it's been a pretty big year at Farmington. I know the football team, not mistaken, they lost in the first round, but, kind of got hot at the end. Obviously, boys and girls basketball both went to state. Softball is going to be in the state championship. And then baseball was just 2 runs shy of being in state.
Yeah, and their Twitter handle is Win the Inning, and it always has been. So I think they were younger. I didn't think they would be as good as they were this year, but they got to where they were runner-up in the district tournament, got a 4 seed, got an upset win in round 1. So, Farmington will be around for a little while. It wouldn't surprise me if they're back in the conversation next year in the Final Four or for state championship.
Then, well, before we go to Class 3A, I want to remind everybody about our friends at Athletic Field Service of Arkansas, because a properly graded infield is not only important for player safety, but also the field's health, and no company in the state can match the exceptional service and dedication like our friends at Athletic Field Service of Arkansas in Sherwood. From infield renovation, lip removal and edging, mound rehab, laser leveling, and much more, Jeremy Rice and his crew have you covered. Call Jeremy at 501-416-1218. That's 501-416-1218 for your free evaluation and consultation. And you can check them out on Facebook or see what else they have to offer by searching Athletic Field Service of Arkansas online. Athletic Field Service of Arkansas, we got the dirt on your infield. In Class 3A, it's not going to be Harding Academy with the four-peat. They were taken down by Gosnell 9-6. And Kevin, I know that Harding Academy had that really hard-fought win, 2-1 over Paris in the first round. And Gosnell been a really hot team all season. I know hit a few bumps there in the postseason, the districts and regionals and all that, but got hot and beat Harding Academy. Then I actually got a good bit of the game against Rivercrest that they pretty much dominated. And now they'll play the CAC Mustangs I know CAC's looking for their first state title since 2009. I know they've been since then. Now Gosnell, they've won before, right?
1990.
That's right.
Yeah, that was the last time that they were in a state championship game, and they won it that season. So, yeah, they beat Haskell Harmony Grove in round 1, 4-1, and then took care of business against Harding Academy. They were down 6-3 going into the sixth inning, I believe. Might have been the sixth inning, and scored 6 runs. Harding Academy was just out of pitching. They went that 9-inning game on day 1 against Paris and just were out of pitching. So Gosnell held on. And then in the semifinals, they were able to throw Trent Middleton, who's their ace, and they beat Rivercrest 10-3 for the third time this season. Rivercrest, of course, had gotten the best of them in the district tournament. But as you know, it always matters is the last game that you play. Who cares what happens before that? Just ask Lone Oak and Robinson. So Gosnell takes care of business. That team's been, like you said, up and down this year, but they've been up more than they've been down, 25-8 on the season. And they'll take on CAC. Now, there's going to be a lot of talk about this game because, look, Gosnell fans, They're part of that fan group that's really passionate about their program and really passionate about public school baseball and public school sports altogether. They want to get Harding Academy and CAC out of Class 4 or out of Class 3A. Look, that's going to happen now. They'll be able to compete on a level field with their public schools. But Gosnell can beat CAC. They beat Harding Academy. So there shouldn't be this question of, well, they have advantages and everything. Everybody has an advantage right now, Kyle. With school choice, you can go anywhere you want to, anywhere. So, but knowing you were at CAC for a long time. A lot of these same kids that have been at CAC have been there for a long time. Same with Harding Academy. Those kids start when they're in elementary school and grow up together. So, but on to CAC, 18-5 on the year. What a performance by Grayson Wilson against Genoa Central.
Who was sick as a dog. Yeah,
sick as a dog. He didn't even play in the semifinals, which was a 7-2 win over Harmony Grove, Ouachita County. So 6 innings, longest he's went this season. He was up in the 90 pitches and just, competed his tail off. They beat Genoa 3-1 after beating Elkins 11-1 in the opening round. So 18-5 on the year. They are the only team in the state championships this week in any classification that doesn't have 20 wins. Just shows you, well, they didn't play a lot either because guess what? Their basketball team won the 3A state championship. So great year to be a CAC Mustang. This should be a really good game. We don't know who they're going to throw. Whether it be Caleb Cook, Grayson Wilson could be ready by then. I expect he will be. And hats off to our man Hayden Cruz getting to go in there and step in for a year and have a chance to win a state title. Something he did get to do while he was the head coach since he moved on to athletic director. Gets to do it for 1 year and then hand over the reins to a coach that will be announced here in a couple of weeks.
And Hayden did win one as a player. So he was on that 2004 squad, or 2004 squad that won the state championship, but which I think the 2000s, it was that 04 and that 09 team. So getting a chance to do it both as a player and a coach. And I did talk to Hayden because so I was at the softball games. I was standing in a spot that I could see both the baseball score and softball.
Right.
But I talked to Grayson as well, and he definitely looked like he was not feeling good. It said that he's in some of the worst pain as far as sickness that he had ever endured in his life. So, but I think he will be fine by then. But, hey, Caleb Cook, he had a really good outing against Harmony Grove. They've got a deep arsenal of arms. But yeah, like you said, man, Gosnell, they've been tough, and that's why that they're in this spot too. And so that's going to be fun as well. So it's pretty much guaranteed Trent Middleton for Gosnell, and then you just don't really know for CAC, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, if they go with anybody else besides Middleton, they got a deeper scouting report than I do.
And then heading down to Class 2A. First off, want to give big props to the Rector Cougars. I know that was one of the 4 seeds that made a deep run. They lost to Ouachita 8-4 in the semifinals, but that's a very underrated battery that is graduating between Cooper Rabjohn and Drew Henderson. You talk about some multi-sport athletes. Cooper Rabjohn was one of the best shooter, maybe the best shooter in Class 2A. I would argue he's up there. And then, of course, Drew Henderson, who our previous outlet, he was the player of the year, the 8-man player of the year for the Rector State Championship football team. So definitely a big loss there. And the battery for Rector, but a great run that they had. And then, of course, they shut out top seed Bigelow, which I know that was a team that we were really high on down the stretch, and rightfully so. But it is going to be Woodlawn again, and this time it's going to be Ouachita who made their move up. I guess, what was it? It was last year. Yeah, they moved up from Class 1A.
So, yeah, this was out of all the teams that made – this was the one that shocked me the most just because who they went through, okay? So, beating McCrory 4-1 was big enough, but McCrory had to go 9 innings. I don't know. They all run together, but had to go extra innings in their first round to get that win. So, Ouachita, the Warriors, 6-0 win in round 1, and then 4-1, and then 8-4 over Rector. So, Hayden Thornton stepped in when Anthony Nail went to Sheridan as an assistant. Nail, of course, is at Gentry right now as the head coach. So, Ouachita's 20-11 on the year. I kind of talked to Coach Nail this morning. I was like, I left that good in better shape than I got it. And that's what you want as a coach that has moved on to another school. And he's getting to see Hayden Thornton, keep building that program. Ouachita, they've been to the state championship. I think it was 2015 was the last time they were there. So second time in 10 years that they're there. And then, of course, they get to play the machine, Woodlawn, 34-1 on the year. A lot of people around the state thought that Riverside Woodlawn game would be the state championship game. And it was a dandy, 1-0. Tate Hall, the junior, stole home to win that game for Woodlawn. And then they beat Cedar Ridge 8-5 in the semifinals. So, 34-1 Woodlawn against Ouachita, 20-11. Both teams have faced each other twice this year because they're in the 8-2A conference together. And they've been close games. It was 9-6 and 6-3, I believe, or 7-3. So, within 3 or 4 runs, now you get the ace for each team. That might not have been the case the first time around in both those games because of the conference schedule. But, Ouachita finished runner-up in that conference to Woodlawn. So, the 2 best teams left standing were the 2 best teams in the 8-2A this season.
And how about Cedar Ridge? Played a couple of extra inning games, really gutsy performance there. I know they got Aiden Jones coming back. So what are they going to look like next year, I guess is what I'm getting at. Who do they have coming back?
Yeah, they're going to lose some, but I think the future's bright for Cedar Ridge. I remember, Kyle, honestly, they were in a conference with Harding Academy, and they would have to play the play-in game just to get to the district tournament. That's how bad they were. So, things have turned around up there under Kevin Orns. They do a really good job promoting the program. I think they went 22-11 or 22-10 on the season, and they just done a great job. They had a shot. They wanted Woodlawn again, and they wanted to beat Woodlawn. Kyle Province just kind of ran out of gas, man. When you use a guy twice in 3 days, it takes a toll. I don't care if you just threw 30 pitches. If you come in and throw 29 pitches in a game, you've put about 70 to 80 throws on your arm just from getting warmed up and everything. At that point, Woodlawn just has to hang on and outscore you at that point, which is what you saw in these lower classifications, 1A, 2A, 3A, in the semifinals, because pitching is thin at that point. So we'll get to see the Wells kid from Woodlawn pitched a gem. He threw 5 no-hit innings against Riverside for the Woodlawn Bears. So Wells will probably get – I haven't talked to Tommy Richardson yet. We're going to try to talk to him tomorrow to get everything on his Bears. But, yeah, Tate Hall's had 49 RBIs on the season. Jaden Wilmoth's back. He's going to play at South Ark, I believe, for college baseball. Really good catcher in Class 2A.
And last but not least, in Class 1A, it is Taylor's time to shine again. Just absolutely rolled through, just like the Taylor softball team did. Taylor softball actually didn't allow a single run. Baseball won 17-6 over Bradford. Do what?
Shocking.
Yeah, right. 17-6 over Bradford, and then 14-2 over Norfolk, and then 10-0 over St. Joe. I think that was probably the most surprising one because, Kevin, we had talked about last week that if anybody was not that they won, of course, but just if anybody was going to be a contender other than them would be St. Joe. And now it's going to be Westside Greers Ferry, who's also got a lot of baseball history in their own right. But Taylor has gone back-to-back 3 times, 04, 05, 08, 09, and then 22, 23. They've got the opportunity to three-peat for the first time in school history, and the softball team has a chance to win 7 consecutive state championships, which has never been done at any classification. So it's always a party in Taylor in May, but it might be a little bit bigger one this time around.
Yeah, and they lead off the weekend of champions, 10 o'clock Thursday morning. I'll be on the call with my man JB Brazil for the 1A state title game. Should be a dandy, man. Westside comes in 27-3 on the year. They one common opponent. They both beat St. Joe's. Westside beat them 3-2. That was during the regular season. And then Taylor beat St. Joe's 10-0 the other day with Nick French on the mound. That was the thing. French had to throw a little bit earlier in the week for St. Joe's, but for Taylor to come out and score 41 runs, that's huge. They only gave up 6, and they were down 6-0, 6-2 against Bradley. I remember sending that to you like, this can't be happening. An hour later, it's 17-6, and the world's right again, So 14-2 over the Party Crashers Norfolk. Shout out to Ethan Davis. Those guys had a really good year once again, making the state tournament, winning a state tournament game. They made it to the state tournament 3 years in a row. That's huge for the Norfolk Panthers. Taylor, the machine, 22-4 on the year. Westside, Greers Ferry, 27-3. They beat County Line 11-0 in the first round, and then took care of business 12-2 in the second round, and then outscored Nemo Vista 12-10 in that semifinal game. So we'll get to see 2 really good programs. Combined record 49-7 on the season in the 1A state championship.
Pretty phenomenal. Definitely looking forward to this. I guess you called, 3 games last year? So
yep, I did 2A, 3A, and 5A last year.
Okay, so I've got
6 this year.
Yeah, and I've got 4A softball. This will actually be my first time working for PBS since 2021. Did the football finals, sidelines that year. So I always been told that I got that face for radio, but I'm going to at least get one of those in on TV. But if you like what you've been watching or listening to, be sure and subscribe. I want to remind everybody to subscribe on YouTube and the audio versions, whether it be Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We are on anywhere pretty much that you listen, except for the places that you got to pay to be on. We're not going to do that. That'd be silly. But other than that, we've got the previews that will be out this week. More than likely, you have listened. By the time that you read that, you probably have listened to this. But we've got that. Then we've got the final rankings coming out after the finals games. And then, of course, we'll have the final pod for that. And then we'll still do we'll probably talk about it more next week, some of the stuff that we have going on into the summer. But Kevin, one more show, and this is going to wrap up year 3 of us doing year 1 of our, year quarter, because it's been like a quarter of a year, half of season, whatever. But either way, the 3rd year of me and you doing baseball, me and Jared doing softball. Man, we're almost through, because I say we're almost through an entire class, because normally our girls start as freshmen usually, and I know they do in baseball as well. But so the 2025s are the ones that are going to be the first that I covered statewide. But sophomore to senior, this is our first class that we're going to watch go away, and it's kind of sad. I mean, believe it or not, we do have hearts and we care about these kids.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we do have hearts, and we don't hate teams like Kendall Rogers does for D1 baseball. So, we don't hate anybody. It's our goal, and that's what we've said. And some guys I've known since they were 13, 14 years old playing baseball. So, some of the higher classifications I've gotten to coach, some of them coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's awesome getting to see one of my former players coach in a state championship game. That means a lot to me. To see him grow, Austin Allen, like I mentioned earlier, for Joe T. Robinson, and just a lot of these guys I've gotten to know over the years, and they've become friends. And getting to see them succeed, it's hard to pull. I can't pull for one team over another, because these guys, you build those relationships just like you do in softball, and you want them all to win, but they can't at the end of the day. That's why they play the game. So it's our job just to, present the information and promote these kids as much as possible, give them the platform to be on. And it's awesome that we've been able to do this for 3 years, and look forward to doing it for much longer.
Yeah, I definitely share your sentiment on the feeling bad for some, but also being very happy for others. Because I've had a lot of conversation. I know you have over the last week or so, really last 2 weeks with seasons ending, that I've been saying congrats and great season to another. So it's definitely a tough time, because yes, you're very happy for some, and it's just like, golly, it really sucks for some others. That's just sports. But like I said, make sure you're subscribed. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. And then naturalstatesports.com is where you can find the written content. I will have the previews out by Wednesday, so you can get those all read and caught up before you head to Conway. But other than that, we will look forward to seeing some of you. I'm sure we'll run into plenty of you either at Ferris Field. What's the name of the baseball field again?
Oh, don't ask me that. I was just there this weekend. I just noticed.
So
UCA
we might see you at
Stadium,
UCA's baseball field. We might see you at UCA's softball field. We'll leave it at that. Or maybe around soccer. We might see you on UCA's campus. But look forward to that. And then, of course, we'll look forward to wrapping up the season next week on Arkansas Preps Weekly. But for Kevin Bohannon and all of us here at Natural State Sports, my name's Kyle Sutherland. We will catch you next week.